Eastern Creek, one of the circuits we'll be going to today. 3.93 k's in length, the former home of the Australian Motorcycle Grand Prix and characterised by that 1 kilometre long main straight. Grant?
Well, once again, John Bow, the Mustang is on pole position, but I think the work is cut out for you once race time rolls around.
Well, absolutely. We saw that in Queensland. Those four-wheel drives are just fantastically fast off the start line. And you don't just get past by one, you get past by half a dozen, and then you got to try and work your way around them. So it's actually great fun, sometimes a bit frustrating, but it'll be good racing.
Round 5 of the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Car Championship, and Philip Polides in the big HSV 300 kilowatt Commodore will carry our pull right on board. John Bow, stunning performance in qualifying, 1:43.15 over local Bob Pearson, Bob Hughes and Brett Peters on the second row. Peters, our championship leader, as we welcome Craig Denyer to the commentary box.
Thanks, Rusty. Good performance too from Wayne Boatwright, just ahead of Polides, then Aitken Gilbert, Brock, Peter Floyd, Gary Dean, first of the sports touring cars, Tim Lay in the VW Beetle RSI.
He's got a substantial advantage over his teammate Matt Coleman, who's qualified back on grid 22, Drew Margaret and Mark King, the defending champion, way back in 24.
Nathan Pilkington from Nathan Thomas, first of the Toyota Celica's in the hands of David Ratcliffe, ahead of Wayne Russell's BMW, then Colin Osborne in his Toyota Celica.
Big field here, the motoring journalist Peter McKay of grid 33 in the third of the VWs. Now you're joining us here for a restart, and this is the reason why. We'll take a look at what happened just moments ago. Caught in the melee there is Tim Lay, the pole sitter in the sports touring class, and look at the damage to the VW Beetle. He is going no further.
Barry Morecambe also involved in that in his Holden HSV 300 kilowatt Commodore. Let's have a look at the replay. You're riding now with Matty Coleman.
Well, Cam McConnell's with us in the commentary box. Talk us through that one.
Well, that was just a matter of two cars coming together and actually nearly like an open wheeler type crash. It launched the car up in the air, launched Tim Lay, stuck him straight into the wall, and that looks like Trevor Haynes out there. Let's have a look here. You can see there's the coming together. So the Commodore all over the top, just stuck on top of the Volkswagen there. So they both, one car went to the right, the other car went to the left. They were both trying to go for the same bit of road, touch wheels, and that was a huge crash.
Well, plenty of work for Greg Siddle and all the boys. Trevor Haynes looked like he was certainly part of the start of that, along with Barry Morecambe. And there's no question the amount of damage to the front end of that VW Beetle RSI will take it out for the rest of the day.
That is a shame for Tim Lay. We'll line up at the Queensland 500 with Paul Wheel, but he will take no further part in this one. We are set for a start at Eastern Creek, the first of two races. Bow does not get a good one in the Budweiser Mustang, the second row of the grid. Storming past him, Bob Pearson, though, has made a ripper in the Mazda RX-7.
Yeah, good qualifying effort too from Pearson, second fastest, but 1.1 of a second was the difference between Bow and Pearson. Bob Hughes, third fastest in the brand new Evo 6 as they head down towards turn 1, the first of 8 laps here at Eastern Creek.
Bow's Mustang has certainly got plenty of pace from the inception of practice here on Friday. He was the man who was on top, provisional pole sitter. We ride with Matthew Coleman, one of only 2 VW Beetle RSIs remaining in this field.
Yeah, Coleman qualified second fastest. Tim Lay, who was taken out in that first race start. So he's carrying plenty of car speed in the little VW Beetle RSI. Pilkington running second on the road behind him, then Nathan Thomas. Looks like David Ratcliffe coming through.
Reasonably busy year for Matt Coleman, splitting his time between being a factory driver for VW in GTP and dabbling in the odd Porsche Cup race. Had a successful round recently at Oran Park. Bob Pearson doesn't have fond memories of Oran Park after a massive testing crash there some years back, but it's terrific to see him here in the Century Batteries Championship doing well in an RX-7.
Philip Polides, 33 years of age, executive in IT recruitment, doing a tremendous job, won the British Formula Ford Open Championship back in 1993.
Oh, big moment here for Dennis Gilbert, sideways at turn 9, and he's looped it, he's gone around, and so too, got a spinner there. That's one of the Nissan 200SX's Fitzgerald, Mike Fitzgerald.
Yeah, big accident for Fitzgerald too at Eastern Creek some years ago in a Super Tourer. So good to see him back in competitive motorsport again. But look at John Bow fighting his way now back past Graham Alexander in the Evo 5. So he's got 4 cars to pick off.
So we've seen this sort of happen before, Cam, that the Bud Mustang seems to come into its own as the race progresses and Bowie settles in.
Well, he always struggles off the line, and you're going to with a rear-wheel drive V8. It's not going to get the power to the ground like some of these all-wheel drive cars that he's racing against. But this track is ideally suited. It's a fast-flowing circuit, as we've seen, and this car is very well suited to the track. Once he gets going, I'm sure he'll have no problem picking up some positions.
Well, Brett Peters in great shape, 87 points, the championship leader. Wayne Boatwright second on 39.5. King was 39, but unfortunately a non-starter after a blown engine in qualifying.
Well, this was a matter of turning in with too much road speed. I think it was a turn-in oversteer. It wasn't a power oversteer like an exit of the corner. Just didn't stay on the brakes long enough, I think, to turn the car in. And there's Mike Fitzgerald having a spin too. I couldn't quite make out if he got a helping hand. I don't think he did there. It was just, again, a little bit too quick into the corner, and both of them continue on.
Now the battle for the Sports Touring lead. Nathan Pilkington down the inside of Matthew Coleman at turn 1. So our championship leader in this class doing well.
Yeah, Pilkington's had a tremendous run. 3 100ths of a difference in lap times in this race so far. 1:49.65 to 1:49.68. Then Thomas 1:49.86. So first, second and third all very close on times.
They're giving one another the over and under treatment as well, because Pilkington grabbed the lead on the main straight, but he wrestled it back between 1 and 2.
Problems for fabulous Phil Kirkham in the Mazda RX-7. So he's pit bound at the moment. As we look at Bob Hughes now under an enormous amount of pressure from John Bowe and the Bud Mustang.
How good does that Mustang sound here at Eastern Creek? It echoes through the main grandstand, the sound of the V8. This car in the same colours or paint scheme as the Bud NASCAR in America.
Yeah, the Dale Earnhardt Jr. NASCAR. And John Bowe certainly driving it to its best this weekend. Very, very fast in qualifying, the gap by over a second.
This is a case of deja vu almost here, isn't it? This is the same move that Pilkington was trying just 1 lap ago.
And this is what GTP racing's all about, because you've got different cars, front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, so some cars are stronger in other areas, and Matty Coleman looks like he's going to hold him out. But just going back to John Bowe also there, this car really does look quite nice through turn 1. The all someone off on the grass there, but the all-wheel drive cars just don't have that advantage when there's fast-flowing corners like Eastern Creek.
Gary Dean around the outside, Dennis Gilbert coming back through the field in the four-wheel drive Evo 5. All four-wheel drives bunched together in this lot by the look of it.
You made the comment about the all-wheel drive cars, Cam. Not a place that they are suited to here at Eastern Creek?
No, there's really only 2 corners where power down is a big advantage. That was one of them, and the other one is the right-hander here. They go round Corporate Hill, which is another flowing corner, as you can see, and that one in the back of the shot. And John Bowe really only has to hold those cars out in those 2 spots. Then he should be quicker in the change of direction, flowing corners.
So John Bowe and Wayne Boatwright shared the wins at the last round at Queensland Raceway. Bowe back on form, and have a listen to this car down the main straight at Eastern Creek. That beautiful quad cam alloy 4.6 litre V8 just sounds absolutely glorious.
A lot of people want to know, Craig, just how far removed it is from the road-going version.
The road-going version's about to roll out at the Prads Horse workshops. The first road car due the 1st of September. Oh, Coleman in trouble.
And that's cost him the lead in the sports touring class as well. So that's a costly error for Matty Coleman. Polides is boxed in here as they come through turn 1.
Anton Metzler, great qualifying effort from him too this weekend. 5th fastest in the Evo 5, which is now being looked after by Wayne Parks. So a big lift in performance from the doctor in the Evo 5. I think he's a bit short on race car technology. Came into the pits early today. Wayne said, "How's it going, Doc?" And he said, "Well, his blood pressure's a bit high, the pulse is a bit weak, but I think she'll pull through."
He's been around this championship for some time now, progressing through the ranks, which is great. Peter Boylan having a moment in the BMW. This car has spent a lot of time at Eastern Creek recently as a prop, if you like, in a fairly major commercial and music video which is coming out. But at the moment, look at that, we've had a change of position here, because slipping back to 3rd is Bob Pearson. So in the blinking of an eye, we're watching the other action there. Let's have a look at what's happened.
Now Pearson has slowed quite dramatically through turn 1, so I don't know what the problem is with the product Mazda RX-7. Bowe sweeps past. Again, we look at an incident between Mike Fitzgerald.
This is Peter Boylan. Now, what happened there?
Yeah, it looked like he just dropped that right-hand rear tyre onto the dirt at the same time that he was turning the car in, just enough to set the back of the car off, but resumes fairly much unscathed.
Matthew Coleman on the fight back in the Beetle RSI. Oh, he's gone wide again too, down at turn 9. So another mistake for Matty Coleman, and that road there is the link road between turn 4 and turn 9. So he Gee, he sped off the road there at an incredible pace.
Well, that was pretty much exactly the same scenario there. Just dropped the wheels off under braking, and it was enough to set the car into that big spin.
We've just heard from pit lane as well. Can you believe it? Bob Pearson has inadvertently hit the ignition key in the Mazda RX-7, and that's what caused him to slow dramatically before he shut the engine down inadvertently, and that cost him the race lead. John Bow says thank you very much, and Brett Peters also smiling because that's more valuable points in the bag in terms of the championship. But John Bow takes out race 1 in round 5 of the Century Batteries Championship at Eastern Creek. There is Pearson coming across the line now for third, but what an unfortunate error for the Sydney sider.
Won't he be kicking himself when he gets back to pit lane? Looks like Jimmy Stewart coming through. Also Graham Alexander, this is the sports touring class leader. And it's Nathan Pilkington from David Ratcliffe. He's come back through the field too in the Toyota Celica.
Those Celicas, in terms of their development, they're getting stronger and stronger with each round, but it's Pilkington who's playing Mr. Consistent in this championship, and it pays big dividends once again. Here's the Century Batteries scoreboard. John Bow, your winner, from Brett Peters. Bob Pearson, Graham Alexander in 4th, Boatwright and Peter Roma in the Mazda RX-7 6th. Good
result too from Philip Pilates in the HSV 300 kilowatt car from Anton Metchler, Peter Floyd, Jimmy Stewart, Dennis Cribbins, Steve Knight, Gary Dean and Michael Brock.
First of the Class B runners, as we mentioned, Nathan Pilkington over David Ratcliffe. Nathan Thomas finishing in position 20 and 3rd in class.
Big field of 36 cars here for round 5 of the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Car Championship. Matty Coleman, Peter McKay, Peter Boylan, Sue Hughes. Let's go down to Grant and Tim Lay.
Talk about being bitten by a bug. Tim Lay, what happened then?
Mate, I'm still a little bit unaware. I'll have to wait till I see some footage, but driving down the main straight, minding my own business, and all of a sudden I got drilled and straight into the wall, and we've got one breked bug on our hands.
You almost actually came over the pit wall. We could see you, the bug peering over there and people running back from the fence there, and the damage doesn't look so good, does it?
Damage is very, very ordinary, but I hope it was a good shunt for you, Matt. I hope you really enjoyed that one.
Mate, I must say, but as long as you're all right, that's the main thing, and we've still got Matty Coleman out there. But any chance of seeing your car out for race 2, do you think?
I think it's just about out for probably the rest of the year, but looking at it now.
Let's hope it's not out for the rest of the season for Tim Lay. Back on the other side of this with Formula Ford.
Hi, I'm Matt Coleman, driver of this Volkswagen RSI Beetle in the 2001 Australian Century Batteries GTP Championship. To celebrate Volkswagen's entry into this season, we are giving away a 1.8 turbo version of this fantastic machine.
That's right, Matthew. Keep watching Trackside and you could be the winner of the brand new 1.8 litre 5-speed turbocharged Volkswagen Beetle. It's valued at $42,000 on the road. This mighty machine includes alloy wheels, anti-lock brakes, electronic spoiler, leather upholstery and 6-speaker CD player. To enter, just call 1902 555 616 and tell us the car numbers of the 2 VW Beetles racing in the GT Performance category on Trackside. The winner will be announced during the last episode in December. So buckle up, batten down the hatches and keep an eye open for the Beetles on Trackside. It's the second and final race in round 5 of the championship. One of our 2 onboard cameras being carried by Philip Pilates. Here is the other one, Matthew Coleman in the VW Beetle. John Bow starts on pole. Brett Peters, the championship leader, and he's got a massive championship lead too. Will start beside him. Bob Pearson and Graham Alexander, row 2. Wayne Boatwright and Peter Roma on the 3rd row of the grid.
Pilates from position 9 alongside Anton Metchler. Then Peter Floyd, Jimmy Stewart in the Subaru WRX STI from Dennis Gilbert. Steve Knight, Gary Dean and Michael Brock in Evo 5.
Nathan Pilkington, who took out Class B in our opening race today, will start from pole in that class and 18th on the overall grid. David Ratcliffe, Nathan Thomas just in behind.
Wayne Russell, Bob Hughes, Mark King, Tim Lay, all non-starters. Peter McKay back there in the 3rd of the Beetle RSIs this weekend. As we're set for a start, the first of 8 laps.
Away we go. John Bow making a good one this time in the Mustang, but not good enough against Brett Peters, who storms away from the 2nd row of the grid. Oh, contact there between Bow and Alexander, I think it was. Alexander going wide. Pearson into 3rd as they sweep through turn 1 for the first time.
Wayne Boatwright trying to hang on to the tail of the Butt Mustang too as they head down towards turn 2, 3 abreast through turn 1. David Ratcliffe involved in that. Smoke coming from Alexander's Evo 5 after that touch with John Bow.
Interestingly, Cameron McConville, John Bow didn't lose as many grid positions this time around.
And that contact was probably out of a bit of frustration. He knows that that car's going to hold him up once he gets going, so he really didn't want to lose too many places, but it's all happening here at the start.
Ed Aitken on the inside on the dirt that time. Mike Fitzgerald just ahead of Matt Coleman in the VW.
Mike Fitzgerald up ahead here, who had that spin in race 1. There's the 2 Celicas in the hands of Anthony Robson and Colin Osborne.
Yes, Celica's getting more and more competitive. David Ratcliffe had a class win for Celica at the GMC 400 in Canberra. So in the hands of the Kasparis brothers, certainly the Ratcliffe car has been very, very quick.
Matthew Coleman, we saw him have 2 decent offs in the first race, and already on cold tyres, Cameron McConville, he is right on it.
He certainly is. That's a 200 SX Nissan that he's trying to pass, and he turned it around. There was certainly contact there, albeit very slight, but there only needs to be slight contact because the inside of the car is very light through Corporate Hill there.
Keep in mind, there's a big freight train of cars here too in this round of the championship. Fitzgerald very lucky to escape. That's off the exit of turn 8 without more damage. There's a lot of cars that were in behind him. Polides with a run now.
And the trying to go down the inside of Shane Jenner, I think it is, and also the Nissan 200 SX Spec R. Brett Peters still at the front of the field. Bauer trying to come back on the inside of Alexander. Pearson in the Mazda in second spot, so it's pretty tight at the front of the field.
A muscle car in the hands of John Bauer trying to do exactly that. Muscle out Alexander as they came through turn 2, heading up toward turn 3.
Peter Floyd and Shane Jenner. Commodore versus Nissan. Again, John Bauer carrying plenty of mid-quarter speed in this Mustang. Great mid-quarter speed, great brakes, a good all-round package. 270 kilowatts coming out of the 4.6-litre quad-cam V8.
Peter Roma, the Queenslander, staying right in touch with John Bauer here. Roma had a decent run, a top 10 finish in the opening race of the day. That yellow flag being waved, of course, because Fitzgerald's Nissan 200SX is off to the side of the road. You can see it there. Now another move by John Bauer on Alexander. This is deep down into turn 9 and it pays off.
Well, there was yellow flags waving one spot previous, so you just assumed John Bauer had passed the green flag point when he made that move, but he's on a charge, driving very aggressively.
Oh!
Wow, that was in Aiken.
Now that's the initial contact at turn 1 that we saw. We saw this view from Matthew Coleman. In fact, now this is Philip Polides. Let's have a look here. Oh, and contact with Jenner. Now, that's what's happened. There's been a massive concertina there, and that contact with Jenner has set off a chain reaction.
Quite a big potential crash there, not unlike the start line incident earlier in the day. And as you said, Rusty, very much a concertina effect, but someone lost out there.
So Pearson goes through back into the lead in the Mazda RX-7. Brett Peters running second on the road now, backed by Dean Powery, the managing director of the Laser Sight Centres. Australian pioneers of laser surgery. Good to see certainly a non-automotive company taking the advantages of the motorsport and marketing benefits these days.
Philip Polides in pit lane. Now this looks like a stop-go penalty.
So could well be from jumping the start.
Big V8 roars back onto the Eastern Creek circuit. Now that's Drew Margaret. So the Nissan's not having a good day so far at Eastern Creek. John Bauer with a move for the lead here. Bob Pearson wants to hold him out in the Mazda RX-7. This is turn 2.
And look, if he can hold, he does too. He can hold in all the way around the outside. Obviously a smaller, more nimble car gives him the line through the next one, and he stays ahead of Bauer.
It's the tail end of that moment for Drew Margaret. Ed Aiken caught up in that one as well.
Anton Metzler also caught up in that as well.
Battle for the sports touring class. Nathan Thomas doing a good job here.
You find it's still Pilkington in the Mitsubishi FTO V6 in the lead.
Oh, Pearson's had a spin out of turn 9, so that's a costly lose for Bob Pearson. Now, looks as though he might be having a bit of difficulty rejoining the circuit, so I wonder if there's a problem with that car.
I'd say also Bauer's gone off, or partly gone off in that, because it's allowed Brett Peters back into the race lead.
Well, it's all happening at Eastern Creek, and Bob Pearson was keen to make amends for the dramas at race 1. Now, let's have a look at this, turn 9.
Well, Bauer's come out and pushed him completely sideways, so John Bauer's turned him around there. Now, I'd say that he slowed in the mid part of the corner, and John didn't quite expect it, and just started a slight tap that was enough to put him off into the scenery.
It's a pretty closely fought battle, and the sports touring class is just the same. Matthew Coleman knocking on the door of Nathan Pilkington, our championship and class leader at the moment.
Yeah, Pilkington, 25 years of age, from Sydney, owns and runs a car wash, backed by Tip Talk Rubbish Removal. Had a very, very consistent year as Coleman goes through, and has really showed a great deal of maturity this year.
Coleman into the lead. Pilkington fights back. The switchback manoeuvre. Oh, contact too as they came into turn 9. So hard on the brakes and at turn 9. And those two guys, like a boxing match there.
Well, he changed his mind. He was going to go the outside. Obviously saw that Matt was about mid-track, so dived back down the inside. Matt turned in. There was contact, but he didn't turn him around.
On the final lap of round 5 of the Century Batteries Australian GT Production Car Championship, Bauer making a move now on Brett Peters and goes through, does it nice and easily in the Bud Mustang.
It's incredible how he can keep that momentum going in the Mustang.
Yes, and look, it's generally I would say it has improved as far as setup goes. It's looking after its rear tyres a lot better, which was a problem early on in the season, and I think he's going to win this one quite comfortably in the end.
It's a bigger and heavier car, and up against the might of the nimble WRX in the hands of Brett Peters, who's got quite a handy championship lead. John Bauer's done very well here at Eastern Creek. He will take out the second race of the day over the series leader, Brett Peters, but well done to the entire team, the Bud Racing team.
And a quick lap for Bauer, 143.4. As we see the battle for the sports touring class yet to come down across the wire. Peter Floyd, Shane Jenner, Dennis Gilbert, Michael Brock also coming through in a bunch, two nose to tail.
There in the background, it looks like that might be Bob Pearson, who's rejoined the field there, and he's limping, in fact, back to pit lane. So dramas for the Mazda RX-7 and a tough finish to the weekend for the Sydney Sider. Here is the battle we were talking about, and Pilkington all on his own here for the sports touring win. He's got quite a handy margin over Nathan Pilkington just in behind him.
So I don't know what's happened to Matty Coleman. These two were pretty much nose to tail last time around, but Pilkington makes it 2 out of 2 this weekend, as does John Bauer in the Bud Mustang from Brett Peters. Then Boat Ride, Peter Roma, good result from him in the Mazda RX-7 Twin Turbo. Then Alexander, Peter Floyd, Shane Jenner into the top 7, Dennis Gilbert into the top 8.
First of the Class B runners on the Century Battery scoreboard, as we mentioned, Nathan Pilkington, a good effort by the Mitsubishi FTO driver, 16th outright.
And will continue to lead the sports touring class from Nathan Thomas. Osborne, great result too. 3rd outright in the Toyota Celica in the sports touring class from Robson, Margaret, Radcliffe, Peter McKay, Peter Boylan.
Tough end of the day for the VW camp. Unfortunately, Matt Coleman, a non-finisher, back to